What is up, everybody? Welcome to the channel where we talk about all things crypto and NFTs. Today, I have a very special guest with me. He is also a content creator and very involved in the Hex and Pulse community. I'm going to go ahead and bring him right up. We got Corey Costa. How is it going today, Corey?
I'm doing very well. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for Hex Pulse Win, actually, for connecting us. So I want to give him a shout out as well. He's a good fellow. He's a great guy. And I'm looking forward to having just a general conversation about Pulsechain, Hex, and cryptocurrency in general.
Heck yeah, man. It's been almost like a year and a half now since I've actually interviewed him on my channel, and we talked about Hex. And actually, the title of that interview was Everything You Need to Know About Hex. So around the same vein, I want to talk about in this is like everything you need to know about Pulse. Because I did make a Pulse video maybe last week, and some people were asking about it, like, maybe they were confused because some people associate Richard Hart with like scam. Maybe they you didn't know why I was talking about it, but like I sacrificed myself for Pulse X like almost 2 years ago. So I'm hoping in this video just to get a little bit of insight from somebody who's very involved with the community like yourself.
Sure.
Obviously, before we go in, if you guys are watching this and you want to know more about the Pulse and Hex ecosystem, go subscribe to Corey Costa's YouTube. I will leave it in the about section of this video and also put it in the comment so that you can see that. But we're gonna rip the Band-Aid off real quick. I saw you. I actually listened to a lot of this space. There's a Twitter space going on, like maybe a less than a week ago. Pulsechain is a rug or something like that.
Yep, I was.
Yeah, it's like 7 hours long. And so I fast forwarded it, but I did see you in there and I actually listened to you quite a bit. Do you feel like that was like a productive conversation? I know obviously there's aggravating parts of it,
I mean, I appreciate Leap for giving hexagons and pulsegons a actual ability to convey what we're doing, to convey what Pulsechain is actually about. Did we have a lot of resistance in that chat? Yeah, we did. Was Pulsechain Rug the clickbait title? Mostly. Did we have a lot of Bitcoin maxis in there that generally are very vindictive over Pulsechain and Hex and Richard Hart? Yeah, we did. Do I think it was productive? Anything that allows us to get the word out? Yeah, I think Leap and I, if that's his name, Leap and I had a very constructive discussion about the importance of community, the importance of creating a society basically around a particular cryptocurrency, because let's face it, community is everything in cryptocurrency. I don't care if you have the most innovative technology out there. If it's not known by anybody, it's gonna become isolated and die out. So I think it was relatively constructive. I do.
Good. Yeah, Leap is gets some quite a bit of attention in the NFT side of things. So if anything, that was good exposure to a new audience. And there's a lot, as there's a lot of smart people in the Hex and Pulse community. So yes. I'm glad that you guys were given that stage to be able to defend yourselves.
Yes,
somewhat fairly. I would say Leap was fair. I know
Leap was very fair. I got to give him the credit where credit's due. Leap was very fair. Yes.
Obviously there was some people in there just causing a little bit of chaos, but yeah, that's a good watch. So do you want to just kind of explain to the people watching this, like if they have no idea what Pulse is or like why this Pulse mainnet was important, just kind of like an overview of that?
Sure. Do you want me to also bring up the sacrifice? You want to wait till later for that? It's up to you.
Yeah, you can start with the sacrifice.
Sure. Okay. So the first thing is that Pulsechain was a sacrifice, and so was PulseX, which is the main DEX. Think of like PulseX as the Uniswap of Pulsechain. And Pulsechain is basically a layer 1 blockchain, excuse me, that is forked over from the Ethereum Shanghai, the merge that we had, I believe, back in September of last year. So it is a fork of Ethereum with faster transaction speeds. It's more scalable. It has an extremely large community behind it, which is the Hex community. It has, the founder of Hex, Richard Hart, as well. We have the PulseX DEX. And this goes back a very long time. Like the sacrifice for Pulsechain happened in July of 2021. And then the PulseX sacrifice started in February of 2022. So we've been waiting for this launch for almost 2 years, literally almost 2 years. So this is something that's been around in the Hex Pulsechain community, where you've had influencers even outside their community presuming that Pulsechain is not going to come out. PulseX is not going to come out. And lo and behold, it has. And Pulsechain right now is the 4th largest blockchain regarding 24-hour volume. It has over $107 million in 24-hour volume and about 173,000 transactions a day surrounding that. And we have one of the largest communities in cryptocurrency. Pulsechain has over 130 projects ready to deploy on it. I know that you have a very large NFT community. We have numerous different projects launching on Pulsechain that are NFT oriented, from a project called Power City to Pulse First to Mintra. We have an assortment of different projects launching, from NFTs to forks of Aave to forks of Liquidity for DeFi assortment suites. So this is one of the few times you see a blockchain actually launch with a suite of products, rather than just a blockchain without any products just launching by itself. So basically, in a nutshell, Pulsechain is a new layer one blockchain that is forked from Ethereum proof of stake, and it has its own DEX, PulseX, which is also the I believe right now the 7th largest DEX by total volume, and it's been 5 days or 6 days now since Pulsechain has launched, and it's also one of the most decentralized. Pulsechain in 5 days has over 13,000 validators, where we have other blockchains out there that take 3 to 4 years to garner 1,500. Like, for example, Solana has around 1,500. I believe Avalanche has around 1,200. Binance has 21, I believe. So I'm talking about the notion of decentralization. I think Pulsechain, in that respect, embodies that notion. So that's basically Pulsechain in a nutshell. So, oh yes, and if you want to look at the sacrifice, again, no expectation from the profit of the work of others, but it was the largest sacrifice in cryptocurrency history next to EOS. It was about $1.6 billion sacrificed.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. It was a lot. So yeah.
Okay, man. So I participated in the Pulse X sacrifice. Cool. I didn't miss the regular Pulse sacrifice.
A lot of people did.
I was going to ask you later about like the whole NFT ecosystem. Sure. I was in Spaces yesterday, and I had somebody. Are you familiar with Pulse Punks?
Yes, I have. Yes, I know who they are. Yes,
they have kind of a smaller following, but they actually jumped in. They seemed really cool. Because I'm from the DeFi space, I don't trust anyone. So I'm kind of like, man, the last thing I would want to do is like mess around by connecting to like a NFT project that I'm not familiar with.
Yeah.
So obviously, if I do something like that, I'm going to do it from a fresh.
Of course, no, absolutely. Any NFT project you got to do from a burner wallet.
Sure. But yeah, I'm excited about that, man. And, coming from I am obviously majorly involved with crypto, but like coming from the NFT side of things, awesome. I personally believe any successful blockchain is going to have their like few like blue chip NFT projects.
Of course.
So it's always like fun to, once one launches, to be able to like find out what that's going to be on that blockchain, and of course be early to that. And I know I would say a lot of the people that I've met, which I'm not as nearly as involved as you are, but I know Richard Hart isn't really pro NFTs. But it obviously his blockchain supports it. And I've gotten that vibe from a lot of people in the community, that a lot of people are really, they're not against it necessarily, but they're not really like for NFTs. But that, to me, that's a good opportunity for somebody like me who loves NFTs and is like, oh, well, maybe there's not as many people looking to buy it, but I am. So maybe if it's adopted, I don't know. But
no, so believe it or not, yeah. So communities always have their mix of what they find valuable and what they don't. But I will say that we have multitudes of projects launching with NFTs, like the Pulse Punks. We have the Pulsechins. We have Pulse First. We have Mintra. We have an NFT marketplace launching with Power City, which is building an assortment of DeFi products as well. So this is not a chain that is basically undermining NFT development simply because there's a decent portion of individuals in the community that may not approve of NFTs, or the founder per se may not approve of NFTs. Like it's censorship resistance. You're not able to blacklist any project launching on Pulsechain. So, we have NFTs, we have GameFi, we have tipping cryptocurrencies on there. We have multi-chain technology. We were just listed on CoinMarketCap like 2 hours ago.
I saw that. That was pretty big news.
It's huge news.
I did see a lot of people cover just talking about how, like, because one, like Richard Hart's like very pro DeFi, but also because a lot of people just don't like him. Like it hasn't really been fair to listings on like these big sites. Like I think CoinMarketCap has kind of done Hex dirty in the past.
Yes.
Am I wrong for saying that, or is it?
No. CoinMarketCap has gatekept Hex for quite some time. Hex has been number 201, 202, and 203, and I've actually reached out to CoinMarketCap pleading with them, and it's gotten like 400. This was like 7-8 months ago, but it got like 300-400 likes, and I got a message from them saying it didn't meet their criteria, but you can like list Prolapse, Inu, Nipplecoin in the matter of 5 minutes. So it's kind of like, what's the criteria here? Are you going to really list a project that's market cap is like 15,000 and it's probably going to be a rug in the next 30 minutes from anonymous devs? Like, it's a very, I like CoinMarket. I've always loved CoinMarket. I've used it since 2017, since I entered the space. But I wish that the rivalry between Binance, CZ, and Richard Hart was kind of didn't get in the way of democratization of finance and giving people the opportunity of what they want to see. So I think really we had to really push to get on CoinMarketCap and CoinGecko, which we have in a week. So I'm very grateful for that.
Heck yeah, man. I do want to give a shout out to some in the comments. We have So Wool. I can't even see this emoji right now. So Wool is a Cardano maxi, actually.
I love Cardano. I interviewed Charles Hoskinson on my channel. I interviewed Charles Hoskinson on my channel 5 months ago. It's actually the featured video on my channel. So I'm also very big in Cardano.
Heck yeah, we got Daniel Marquez. We got Hex Pulse Wind, Corey, Chris. Thanks for the shout out. Let's go. Yeah, one of my good friends, again, IRL. If you guys are watching, I did post this to Twitter. If you don't mind giving that tweet a share on Twitter just for more exposure, we appreciate all of you in the comments. Yeah, man. So let me go on to the next question. Let me pull this up real quick. We kind of answered this already. I would say like your answer would be along the lines of like you guys already have like so many builders, more security, and compared to some chains you have less like gas costs. But like, what would be your pitch to somebody that's like, well, why would they want to transact on Pulsechain?
So the reason they want to transact on Pulsechain is first of all because of the community. When you have a community that is so strong, it basically conveys the sense of longevity. So I can actually make an analogy of this to Cardano. Cardano is one of the largest communities in cryptocurrency, no question. And Cardano, because of the community, I think longevity is the standard for Cardano in the future. I think the same thing for Pulsechain. I also think that many people who may have their hex stakes for, let's just say, for example, on Ethereum has an exorbitant amount of gas fees. Like right now, the gas fees are terrible. Like I did a few transactions and they're like 60, 70 bucks. I mean, how are you going to be a mass adopted chain for banking the unbanked when I can just go to a Western Union and send money to a country, let's just say in, I don't know, Southeast Asia, Africa, South America, where $60, $70 is a lot of money. It could be a monthly salary for many. How is it supposed to be mass adopted? We may take that for granted in the West, but for the majority of the world, $70 is a lot of money. With Pulsechain, however, the fees right now, they're anywhere between, I don't know, 70 cents to $1.50. So you have much less expensive transaction fees, one. You have faster block times than Ethereum. I think Ethereum is 12-second blocks. Pulsechain's around 10. So it's faster. It's greener also. And it's also, right now, one of the most decentralized blockchains on the planet. Now, I'm not exactly sure how many validators are online with Ethereum right now, so I don't want to jump to conclusions on that. But the fact that on day 6 of Pulsechain being launched, there are 13,000 validators. It goes to show you that if you actually care about the notion of decentralization and you care about the cypherpunk principles of like Adam Beck and Bram Cohen and many others in the cypherpunk revolution and Hal Finney, and you care about decentralization and Nick Szabo, you care about decentralization. Unfortunately, a lot of these blockchains right now, layer 1, for example, are not very decentralized. They're not. They're really not. They're mostly centralized. So with that being said, with these validators, you have this decentralized ethos. So I think that's another reason why people should transact on Pulsechain. Now, I will say to people who are curious about transacting on Pulsechain right now is I'd recommend them wait a few days. And the reason why I say that is because the bridge, which is basically like the ability for people to send their assets from Ethereum to Pulsechain and vice versa, is getting a little clogged. So I want to be transparent about that. So people have been waiting a little bit for the transactions to come through. So I would even Richard Hart came out a couple of days ago saying calm down when using the bridge. So I would say for those who want to transact on Pulsechain, it's very exciting. We are the 4th largest blockchain surrounding 24-hour volume, and that's 5-6 days in. But I would wait just a little bit for the congestion to stop in the bridge. But besides that, I think this will be an amazing chain because of the community and also the value proposition that Pulsechain brings from 160 projects launching on it. And if you like memes, meme coins are also launching on Pulsechain as well.
Yeah, I saw one. I guess he's a Pulse influencer. I don't know. He was pumping some random meme coin.
You talking about Jeff Kierdisk? I can't pronounce
I
it.
don't even know, man.
Yeah, he owns Crypto Coin Trader on Facebook, to my knowledge, which is one of the largest crypto communities in the world.
Wow.
Yeah, he just created the largest launch pad on Pulsechain for incubation for different projects, and he's introducing a lot of meme coins on Pulsechain. And
Cool.
let's just face it, memes in onboard people for any chain.
They do. Yeah, they do. I mean, look at Doge and look even
Exactly.
Shiv and yeah, some others for sure.
Exactly.
The bridge issue, like I know a lot of people are getting stuck on the bridge or just can't go through. Is that an issue that's going to be fixed with scale? You know, like we're talking like mass adoption, like with time.
So based on what Richard has said, the devs have been working on it. I think right now with a lot of different chains that have launched with different chains in the past that launched, there were minor issues that needed to be resolved that were resolved within a month or so. So I definitely believe wholeheartedly that this bridging issue will change also as we get on more exchanges and more exchanges list Pulsechain and Pulsex. I know we're on one exchange right now, to my knowledge. So once Pulsechain and Pulsex is launched on numerous exchanges, I don't think the bridge will be as clogged, because many people in cryptocurrency right now that are curious about Pulsechain, they're focused on accumulating the Pulsechain token, Pulsechain coin, Pulsex, and the incentive token, and PHEX. So I think once Pulsechain and Pulsex are listed on maybe prominent exchanges, again, I can't promise that. I don't know when it's going to happen, if that's going to happen. But if it does, I think the bridge will be a little less congested. But I do know that Richard Hart came out with a tweet, I think about 3 days ago, saying that devs are hard at work trying to get the bridge to be more efficient.
Got you. Okay, cool. So a general question, just about the mainnet launch.
Sure.
You know, you've seen all the way from it's a rug to it's 1000x. You know, there's always like spaces and videos.
Yep.
How do you feel like the mainnet launch from? It's almost been a week now from like day one till now. How do you feel like the process went?
I think the process went quite well. I think that when you have an entire community backing a project, and you have a community that hasn't faltered, and you have mainstream influencers that are now giving Pulsechain a chance, we're not as gatekept as what happened with Hex when it first launched, where there was like 300 Spartans, and now the Pulsechain community is virtually gigantic. To say at least, we have over, I think it's like 130 streamers right now for Hex and Pulsechain specifically. And then we have influencers, not influencers, but we have streamers like myself that do cover 80 to 90% Pulsechain content, Hex content. But we also have, YouTube streamers like myself that also cover, like, for example, Cardano, Phantom, Syscoin, VeChain sometimes. So we're starting to see those gatekept notions come down. And I'm sure you're going to have your FUD from a few people. Sure, you're going to have those clickbait titles like the Twitter Spaces that we saw. But realistically speaking, again, that was a clickbait title. And Leap gave us a chance to speak. And I do believe wholeheartedly that this is coming down. CoinGecko and CoinMarketCap, listing us kind of speaks notions on that, especially after a week after launch. These exchanges and these tracking websites, they follow the money. There's a reason why Pepe was listed everywhere. And the reason why was simply that it garnered so much attention and so much volume. And exchanges and these communities want to get a piece of that. So it would make sense to get the Pulsechain community, the Hex community by proxy, on your side by listing on CoinGecko, listing on CoinMarketCap, kind of nullifying these year-old rivalries that are really virtually no reason to exist. So I think the launch has been pretty good for a new chain. I think the major issue that we found so far, and again, it's not really major, but it's the bridge. And the bridge is, and again, to be transparent, the bridge is a little clogged. But again, this is expected with that much demand. I mean, this is what happens when you go onto a highway and there's so much traffic. It gets congested. And this goes to show I would be more concerned with the bridge not clogging up than the bridge clogging up, because that would be indicative of not too much demand.
Yeah,
so
that makes sense.
That's what I'm saying. So
sure. Yeah, and I think with the bridge clogging up too, it did kind of which I know a lot of people in the community aren't concerned about this because it's like you're a lot more long term on it, but it
Yes.
just didn't reflect true prices to my understanding because there was no
No,
liquidity
it didn't.
to be bridged over. So I think that's where a lot of the FUD came from, but also at the same time, I think that's where some of the exposure came from.
Yes,
Would
it did.
would you have even been able to, not that this is like privilege, but like, would Leap have even made that space, with Pulsechain or Rug if it didn't look like Pulsechain was worth, virtually nothing at that moment?
Yep.
And I think that's good. Again, I listened to a lot of it and like it had its aggravating moments. Like I wanted to like grab that Bitcoin guy and like throw him off the stage.
Oh my God, he was so. That guy was so, honestly one of. Listen, I've gone up with Maxis before of all communities. I have never talked to someone that was so goddamn annoying.
Yeah.
In this space where I couldn't even get a word in, the man just interrupted constantly. It was just blatantly disrespectful.
It was.
And it was like it didn't matter. He was insulting Cardano. He was insulting Pulsechain, and it's like, bro, like you can't expect this whole world to just accept the norm that Bitcoin's going to be the only one. If you really believe that, you're a moron, to be honest with you. So,
yeah, but I do the whole thing though is even getting that stage to another audience who would otherwise maybe a year or two ago been like, Hex is like, well, obviously this wasn't much different as far as title goes, but as far as like conversation goes, I think it was a lot healthier than maybe it would have been like a year ago. I also saw, and I know that like at the end of the day, like Richard is like separate than Pulse.
yes.
I did see something like maybe a month or so ago though, about him, like, I don't know if he's joking or not, but basically like him like choosing to like, I guess, be more kind. I don't remember how he said it.
Being more humble, yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Now, I don't know the maxim for that, to be completely honest with you. I wasn't here during the early days of Hex and Pulsechain. I have watched his older videos where he looked like a fire mage and like the awesome top hat, and he was talking about apologies and talking about being how to be a good friend and the importance of time is money and how to start a business. That resonated with me quite well. And for a year and a half, I think what Richard does is I think he's a master marketer. I think he knows what he's doing. And I think that he knew that outrage marketing, even though, like he said, dressing like a clown, looking like an idiot, garnered a lot of attention. He garnered a lot of attention outside the Hex and Pulsechain community and also inside the Hex and Pulsechain community. And then I think he realized that like there was no need for that anymore. Maybe it was time to stop and go back to his old roots. And I think that humility plays a more attractive role for the older generation. And if I can be honest, I think the older generation is the one generally with the larger amount of capital, not the millennials that are still living at home at age 30 like myself.
28 here, baby.
There you go. I'm 27. So, but no, my point being is that like being a master marketer is being able to assume formlessness. I learned this in a book called The 48 Laws of Power, which is basically like assuming formlessness is basically being able to weave in and out of crowds, even if you're not interested in what that crowd is trying to convey, the principles thereof. So let's say you're, I don't know, there's a crowd that's into snowboarding and you don't even know how to snowboard, but you're able to weave into that crowd by talking about snowboarding, even if you know a little bit. I think that's what Richard was doing. And I think that he was enticing a very large crowd by doing something like that. Mm-hmm. And now he's enticing a larger crowd, in my opinion, because of this humility, because of this sense of dignity and integrity and understanding this notion of familiarity that he did come from a very poor household, to the least, which is very, it can be reflective on a lot of people and it can be relatable on a lot of people. So I'm personally, I didn't like the outrage marketing. To be honest, I actually couldn't stand it, to be honest with you. I thought it was actually kind of cringe, but at the same time, I understood why he did it, and it worked out quite well.
I mean, essentially, again, going back to that Twitter space, the whole reason that Leap let that guy just keeps interrupting everybody.
Yep.
Outrage marketing,
Yep.
It
works, man.
It caused controversy on stage, which made more people to listen in. It made the listeners aggravated, which also kind of like tuned them in.
Man.
Some of the stuff works, but it works, and people do have reasons behind it, even though like it doesn't always look like that.
Bread and circuses, my friend. Bread and circuses. Everyone gets attracted to drama. It's a fact.
So I did. Besides this, I made my first Hex-related video this week for the first time since like maybe a year. It's been a long time. Some people from the community thought I was fudding. I was basically just talking about how I've talked a lot about how the bridge didn't allow liquidity in, and about how also some people got wrecked by like ratio trading. Do you know anybody personally that like was
Yeah.
trying to trade into stables that like realized that like, wait a second, if there's no
Yep.
liquidity, maybe this isn't stable? And do you want to explain how that situation works?
Sure. So the first thing is that I don't think that saying the bridge is clogged is FUD at all. I think it's honest and I think it's transparent. And I think that if you actually look at it from a more positive perspective, not you, but if viewers looked at it more from a positive perspective, it was more indicative of people actually wanting to come in and see this chain and participate in this chain. And we have been talking about this. Streamers have been talking about ratio trading for months upon months. Like if you didn't know what the hell you were doing, don't do it, because you're gonna screw up. You're gonna click something, and this is exactly what happens. People lose everything in this space in two particular parts of a market cycle: euphoria and depression. Depression because you're trying to get everything back, so you're going to make stupid decisions, and euphoria because you want to participate in everything and you make stupid decisions. So what these people were doing was they bridged in as fast as they could, and they thought they were geniuses, and they were bridging into worthless stable coins. And these worthless stable coins that were not where they thought were $1, and they thought that they were going to be able to trade them, these stable coins were virtually worthless. So they basically wrecked their entire bag in one trade because they were basically trading their Pulsechain or PHEX or PulseX into useless stable coins that had no value.
Yeah,
So
that's so tough, especially waiting 2 years.
Horrible, man.
Yeah.
It is. And like another thing is a lot of websites, unfortunately, as a result of not having USDC or USDT proper pairs, proper dollar values, were listing projects and tokens, for example, on Pulsechain that were not actual realistic prices. So people were going gung-ho into it, and they were bridging their assets in, and many people were panicking because they didn't have the wrapped Pulse contract addressed, the wrapped PulseX contract addressed, or the wrapped contract address that they needed for the stable coin. And what they did was they wrecked themselves. And do I know anybody personally that did it? No, but I have seen people in the telegrams that unfortunately have. And I've watched people like, for example, your friend Sami, who's a very good content creator, really highlight a few people that lost 99% of their bag in a matter of a second because of ratio trading. It sucks.
Possible. Yeah.
That's why, guys, like if you guys are going to enter into Pulsechain and you don't know how to ratio trade, the best thing to do is just to not do it.
We have Soul asking, is it because that the coins were mirrored assets?
When he says mirrored, does he mean like people were not like people were confused whether they were like Ethereum assets or Pulsechain assets? Is that what he's asking?
Yeah, you know how you got like a 101 copy from
Some people were asking me the question of like what the value is for one thing. So they were thinking that they were going to make a value by going into maybe, I don't know, trading their Pulsechain for PHEX, for example. And what is he saying? He's talking about the copied stables. Yes. So they presumed that the stable coins, just because they were copied, because their USDC was copied, they made a presumption that, oh, the USDC on Ethereum is $1. Well, that means that the USDC on Pulsechain is supposed to be $1, but there was no liquidity for it. There was no backing of it. So people were trading into USDC, into DAI, into USDT, and they're worth pennies. And
the crazy thing is, this literally just happened with a meme coin that's really breaking Twitter right now. I don't know if you've been following that, but the whole Psyop thing with like bin.eth, like the total,
yes, I've heard. Yes, I have.
Like $7 million to.
Yeah.
He collected $7 million, and I think he provided like the liquidity pool with, it was a ridiculously low amount. But basically, there was just the same situation. There was no money in the liquidity pool. So when people got the airdrop, they were trying to trade ETH for the token, and it didn't match up. So they would send like 4 ETH and get like a handful of this Psyop token, which is essentially worthless. And so people just like burnt their money. It's so ironic because like I've never even really heard of this happening often. And then like I know it happened recently because it's a new launch, it's a new mainnet, and then this happened with this just happened because of this guy. I'm not
malicious fella. Malicious fella.
Yeah, honestly, which the whole situation's
there's a big distinction to be made here. One was based off of human malice, and the other one was based on human error. So like one of this with the Ben.eth, and by the way, this is not BitBoy, because I know people are thinking Ben ETH and Ben Armstrong. I just want to make sure.
Yeah. Of course, Ben Armstrong did buy his first token.
Yeah. But when Ben.eth did that, so Ben.eth was acting unfortunately out of malice, and people were getting these airdropped into this liquidity that was not realistic. Whereas, for example, Pulsechain, it was not malicious on the chain. It was not malice on the basis of the blockchain itself. It was people making the mistake with their mirrored copies, presuming that these stable coins were the same price as their other stable coins, which just was simply not the case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. It's just an unfortunate situation for those people.
Yeah, it sucks, man, because then people are turned off from the chain and they blame the chain when it was really their own mistake.
Yeah, man. Well, it seems to be working fine. Moving forward, okay, so it launched. We're a week after launch. You say you feel like launch went great. A couple bridging errors. What's your, obviously not financial advice, but I guess not from a financial perspective, what's your view on should you hold Pulse? Should you hold Pulse X? Should you hold EHEX? Should you hold PHEX? And I'm sure your initial answer is well, yeah, hold all of them. But
it's a good question.
Yeah,
it's a good question. If you're asking out of 1 out of 4, if I honestly had my choice, honestly, it'd be Pulsechain. And the reason why are a couple of figures and a couple of reasons. One, Pulsechain is the main coin for this chain. Like most layer ones, it'll be used for the transaction fees of all of the dApps that launch on it. And there's 130 dApps ready to launch on it now. Secondly, layer one chains generally, not always, but generally the coin itself, that's the main token, the main coin for that chain, is generally the one that's used most. The fees are generated in that. So I think Pulsechain would be the most important coin to hold. And if I would go in order here, I would say Pulsechain, between PHEX and PulseX, it's a very close second. I'm going to go with PHEX. And the reason why I'm going to go with PHEX is because many people thought that they missed the Ethereum version of Hex because of the fact that because of the fact that Ethereum Hex went all the way up to 50 cents already. And now it's at 3.5 or something like that. And a lot of the economic value is going towards Pulsechain now. And because Pulsechain is synergistically related to Hex, and basically the reason why Pulsechain was created was to make Hex end stakes cheaper so that they're not $800 when you unstake. Well, I think PHEX will be more valuable because of that idealistic notion of staking and holding your coins. So I think PHEX would be next. I think PulseX would be third. And the reason why I say PulseX is third is because I do think PulseX will be immensely valuable. Not financial advice. I do think it'll be very valuable from a utility standpoint for people to be able to exchange on the DEX. Like right now, PulseX is number 7, I believe, of all DEXs in the world right now. And it's been out for 6 days. And last but not least, I would say EHEX. And the reason, and maybe people will disagree with me on this, many people, the reason I say EHEX is last, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I don't find value in EHEX by any means. I think a lot of the Hexing community is going to focus mostly on Pulsechain Hex. Obviously, it's Richard Hart created it. It's a brand new chain. You have a brand new opportunity for PHEX. PHEX is lower in value right now, I believe. I think it's 1.9 cents when I checked last. So, and it's very expensive to end stakes. But where I think the value for EHEX right now is that many people are not EESing. They're not emergency end staking. So inherently, people still have their stakes. And by the way, people get copied stakes on a Pulsechain. So I don't think Hex is going anywhere on Ethereum as well, because Ethereum is still the largest chain out there. So, but next to Bitcoin. So I would say in that order, I think Pulsechain, and maybe people will disagree with me, but I think a lot of people who are more bullish on PulseX and as opposed to Pulsechain are the ones that miss the Pulsechain sacrifice. That's honestly what I believe. And that's fine because I understand you want to pump your own bags. I get it. But I do believe Pulsechain in the end of all this will probably be the coin that will more than likely perform the best. And in my opinion, maybe completely wrong, and PulseX and PHEX may do even better. But I think Pulsechain, personally, from my experience watching the layer 1 coins, I mean, to make comparisons here, look at Ethereum when it started and where it went. Look at Cardano, where it started, where it went. Look at Phantom, where it started, where it went. Look at Syscoin, where it started, where it went. I could go on and on and on. Bitcoin, where it started, where it went. Litecoin, same here. It's to me, the layer 1 coin, and there may be anomalies out there that I'm not aware of, but the layer 1 coin is generally the king.
Yeah, no, as somebody who owns 0 Pulse, matter of fact, I can't even like transact, I don't think, because I don't have any Pulse.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I mean, I would agree.
There are some faucets, though.
Yeah, so I did see that. I just haven't.
Yeah, there are some faucets.
I'm not a rut. I have like my biggest Pulse X wallet. I haven't even like accessed since, like, not that I don't have access to it. I'm not.
No, of course.
I kind of used one just to have some in, just to kind of like play around. Yeah. But then I was like, I don't feel like bridging it right now. And then I didn't want to get wrecked because I thought about, I missed the Pulse sacrifice. I thought about, well, what if I trade some of my Pulse X for Pulse? And I was like, I'm just going to wait. I'll give it some time and then I'll wait for it.
Yeah. No, it's definitely something that I think that would be patience is very important. I would definitely look in the Hex and Pulsechain community. I know there are a few faucets right now, and if you're not comfortable, I definitely would use a burner account, obviously. See if it works. If you get Pulsechain from it, you could send it over and then be able to transact. Right now, what I've noticed from an anecdotal, empirical standpoint is anywhere between 30 and 120 pulse per transaction. And many people will be like, oh, that's a lot of money. But if you look at 100, let's just do 120 pulse right now times its regular times its price right now. It's, let's say 120 pulse. That's like 2 cents. So
yeah,
that's very cheap.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah.
I'm going to need a tool to come out that tracks staking on. I'm sure they already have this in the works that tracks staking on Pulse, because I've used Staker for the last few years, but I'm assuming that's not going to follow the Pulse, like the network, right? Or will
you talking about Staker app?
Yeah, Staker app. Yeah.
I'm not 100%. I've interviewed the founder OXDef a few times.
Cool.
If I had to make a presumption, they would. I do know that people can track their p-hex stakes on app.icosa.
Okay, I was wondering app.icosa. I'm gonna have to like go back and watch this.
I have a YouTube short.
Oh, cool.
That I made on my channel that you can just check out, and I have the link in the description on where you can check your p-hex stakes. So yeah, it's app.icosa that you can check that as well.
So when the time comes to end your stake, you end your Ethereum stake and you end your Pulse stake. Like, I know that's kind of probably a dumb question, but like you would end both separately, of course, right?
You can. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Because the system stay copy, but yes, different chains. So
Hex Pulse Blend said that.
Staker app does support Pulsechain. Yeah. So.
No, he said. Oh, he does. Okay. For some reason, I read that as does not.
Yeah.
But he said he doesn't recommend it anymore.
See, I haven't used Staker. I know there was a little controversy surrounding Staker app. I'm not exactly sure why, so I'm not going to jump to conclusions. But I've never used Staker app personally. I have nothing against it though, but I've never used it personally.
Yeah, he said V2 is horrible. I agree, because I used it recently and like I was having a lot of trouble like navigating around it. Like it was just showing the wallet that I didn't have a lot in, and I couldn't my main wallet, and I had to like restart that. It was kind of weird. We have a couple of minutes left. I know you gotta go. Where can people find you?
I got 10 minutes.
Where can people find you, Corey?
You can find me on Twitter at Corey Costa 123. I know how original. And you could find me on YouTube, Corey Costa's Crypto Coins. I know you said you had a Cardano maxi in here. If you look at YouTube, my main like home video is me interviewing Charles Hoskinson. So I've had him on. Yeah, I've had him on before. And I've interviewed Crypto Wendy, BitBoy, Dennis Porter, Bruce Fenn, Bram Cohen. I've yet to have Richard Hart on.
And you've had some big players though. How'd you get the? How'd you get? Were you just early, or you just
I
know
asked. I know it sounds so funny, but I literally just asked.
just asked?
David Goshstein. I had Laura Loomer on. If you're in the political arena, if you're familiar with the political arena again, I'm having Roger Stone on tomorrow. And Roger Stone is gigantic. He's worked with 4 different presidents. So I literally just ask, and it's like almost like you miss all the shots you don't take. So I just ask. I've had on Blockchain Brad, Ian Bellina, Crypto Beatles, Joe Blackburn, Jag Deep from Syscoin, Hexologist, Crypto Coffee. I don't even know who I've interviewed anymore. I've interviewed so many damn people. I don't even remember anymore.
Yeah, somebody told me to meet with Crypto Coffee because like we both kind of have the coffee aspect.
Yeah,
I see your Charles Hoskinson interview. That's really awesome.
Yep, that's it. Yep.
I also love the attitude of just like you don't know unless you ask. Because I used to like feel shy to ask people, and I still do sometimes. But I mean, the worst they can say is no, and then you move on.
That's exactly what it is. Like that's exactly what it is. You there?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's exactly what it is. Like I wouldn't have gotten the Chia CEO. Who else is big? Grant Cardone's brother, Gary Cardone.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Gregory Manarino I've had on.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys are, and this is completely crypto unrelated, but if you guys know who Dave Dana is on Twitter, he's a really big inspiration for weight loss. I've had him on. Crypto Lifer. Who else?
So when you have these people on, do you center the conversations around crypto, or is it?
No.
Okay.
95% of my content is crypto, but like when I for example, when I interviewed Dave Dana about his weight loss career, I didn't ask him if he was like, hey, do you look at Bitcoin while you do bicep curls? Like,
yeah.
No. But
I love it, man. I love that you, as somebody who's also a content creator, I love that you just kind of do what you want to do, as well. Because I always struggle with that. Like, if I were to get somebody who, like, I would love to have on the channel, but not necessarily like crypto and NFTs, like, should I even have them on? And I love that you're just like, yeah, I'm going.
I don't care. I'm going to do it. You know what? Because indirectly, I know this sounds silly, but indirectly, everything can kind of be related to something along the lines of cryptocurrency. Not necessarily, but they can. I mean, cryptocurrency is political, cryptocurrency is financial, cryptocurrency is well-being if you can do it properly. And that leads back to the well-being of physicality and mental well-being. So it's like you make even those small thread of connections and you have a discussion base.
Speaking of, I'm gonna pull it up real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
Crypto being political, I really have no opinion whatsoever on this. It's just interesting to see and pull it up. And actually, I've been wanting to use this soundboard because I just got it. So I'm gonna use a reason. This breaking news. That's breaking enough. Whatever. We're gonna pull this up real quick. It's still you. The Robert F. Kennedy Jr. becomes the first presidential candidate to accept Bitcoin campaign donations. So
Love him.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting, man.
It's funny you say that because Roger Stone, who I'm interviewing tomorrow, is actually an advocate for the Trump Kennedy ticket. And do you know who Roger Stone is?
No, I'm
okay.
I'm embarrassingly dumb when it comes to anything to this.
It's okay. Roger Stone was the political assistant and campaign advisor and political assistant for Richard Nixon, Ronald Reagan, George Bush, and Trump.
Okay, cool.
And he's a big advocate for Robert Kennedy, and I'm a big fan of Robert Kennedy too.
Sweet. Yeah, I thought it was super cool that to accept Bitcoin donations. That's some type of
huge,
some type of giving. Like obviously, I would say overall the U.S. has kind of been pressing in a little hard on crypto the last few months that we've seen, especially with some of the Gary Gensler stuff. So hopefully we can kind of get a redirection. That way the U.S. can keep up financially with the rest of the world in this new and beautiful technology.
Absolutely, man. This new order, man. Like I like Tom Emmer, or is it Tim Emmer? I know it's either Tom Emmer or Tim Emmer that basically like put Gary Gensler on his knees when he at a meeting, and he's not the only one.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, you got Hester Pierce is another one that's really, really, really smart regarding cryptocurrency. Cynthia, I think her name is Cynthia Lumens from somewhere in the Midwest, somewhere in Tornado Land. I don't know what state it is.
Tornado Land.
Yeah, she's also big. But I can tell you from New York, it's probably the most difficult state to interact with cryptocurrency.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Usually,
I can't use Finance US. I can't use Kraken. I can't use basically anything.
Oh dang, yeah. I didn't even know you were from New York. I just know a lot of times I see New York is excluded. Like even if it's like the entire US, it's like New York is the one that's like excluded from it. It's terrible, man.
You'll see exchanges saying, "Oh, you're not able to transact if you're from North Korea, China, Iran, South Sudan, and then New York." I'm like,
yeah, it's like, what?
Are you kidding me? Are you serious? New York next to North Korea? Are you guys ducking me right now? Seriously?
Yeah, man, it's nuts. I have one more question.
Yeah,
really just popped up in my head.
Yeah, go for it.
Before we end, what do you recommend as far as like if you do want to just like sit on your hands for a while on any of these assets we talked about, mainly like Pulse and Pulse X? Are you gonna so I listen to that I watched a few of your videos and I listened to that Twitter space and counter a lot of the community, you don't really stake your hex, right?
Nope.
Like you're 100% unstaked.
Nope.
So for this, let's go with Pulse and Pulse X. Are you going to provide for any liquidity pools, or are you going to use your Pulse X to you're just going to sit on it?
Nope, I'm not doing nothing.
Yeah.
If I'm not 100% like adept in doing something because I'm very paranoid, I'm not going to do it.
Okay.
And I've had this, and I explained this to a few people about why I don't stake my hex. It has nothing to do with any vindictiveness towards the hex code. I was a main ambassador for a project called Icon. Maybe you've heard of it, ICX, and I staked it for 2 years. And during the bull market, ICX went up to $3.27, and I pressed unstake, and I was hoping that I was able to unstake it in time to around $3. By the time I was unstaked, it was $1.70, $1.80, and like I missed out on 100. I missed out on like another because I like my average was like 15 cents. I missed out on another like 9x because of it, and I don't want to next bull run. I don't want to. Let's say hex goes to $1 valuation that I'm comfortable with taking profits at. I don't want to not be able to do that. And this is not just hex. Like I don't stake any of my coins. I don't, even though every coin I have is stakeable. So this is not just hex.
Even like Cardano delegations, because they're not. I think it's a little less strict, right?
Cardano is the only coin that I've staked some of my.
You better hope Suwol's not still in this chat. Yeah. Gonna be hopping in here. I told you.
because Cardano and the reason why is because Cardano doesn't have any time locks.
Yeah.
So I have full
control. That's what I was thinking when I said that. Yeah, no, I completely get it. I'm very close to you, but like as far as like that attitude. That being said, a lot of my hex bag is like average stake of like 9.25 years or something like that.
That's fantastic.
But I have it laddered. Shout out to Hex Pulse Win for like explaining to me like how the ladder works and stuff like that 2 years ago.
I've gotten a lot of shit for that. Not a lot. I've got a little bit of jokes. I remember I was on Hexology stream a few days ago. We were like, he was like, "We're glad we had this intervention." However, I have considered staking my Pulsechain hex because now I have copies. I am seriously considering staking my Pulsechain hex to maybe, I don't know, 6 months to a year because I don't really see the bull market coming back until next year, at least in my opinion. So I'm very much considering staking my Pulsechain hex. If I do, will I tell anybody? No. It is a little more fun because then it's like, oh, this hex streamer that loves hex but just doesn't stake any of his coins. But no, I love hex, and the reason why I love hex so much is one, I think the product is fantastic. I really do. I think the APY is fantastic. I think the inflation rate is fantastic. 3.69%. If you look at it from a traditional economic standpoint, a healthy inflation rate is 2 to 4%. So I think that's fantastic. I think it's really what keeps the community together is this ability to have T-shares and this ability to garner more hex in the end. But for me, the most important thing is community. And I put community before code, and that's a ubiquity with every single cryptocurrency project I've ever been in. Because it doesn't matter what the code is if the community doesn't exist. So, I love this community. This community, literally, the interviews I've had are contingent on the Hex community giving me a base. Because if you don't have a base, no one's going to want to come on your channel. Like if I hit up, let's just say, I don't know, Charles Hodgson, I had 40 subscribers, he's going to look at me and say, who are you? But, 6, 7K subscribers, like, all right, this guy's not gigantic, but he's got a mid-sized channel. He's got a following. He's able to make some type of following. And he's not, and you get what I'm saying. So
yeah,
it is nothing against the code. I believe that people should do what they want with their money, whether that's be staking their Hex for 15 years or 5 years or 2 or a year or 6 months. If they want to do a staking ladder, that's awesome. If they want to keep their Hex liquid, that's great. I'm not one of those ideologues that say to myself, well, you should do this because you're not that if you don't do this. I think that's a little ridiculous and kind of petty. And that's ubiquity in every crypto community. So, but yeah, I haven't, but I am seriously considering. Like I'm probably 90% going to do it. I just want to wait till, things calm down a little bit. I'm seriously considering staking my PHEX.
Heck yeah, man. Well, in hindsight, that would have probably been good for me to wait for, at least on some of it, was like wait for it to copy and then stake on Pulse and then maybe just like hold the ETH. But it is what it is. I'm not mad at the position I'm in. I'm thankful to be where I'm at. And I'm excited to see the future of this entire ecosystem and all the builders and some of the people I've met have been really smart, really cool people. I think that's one thing that people don't, I guess because everything's so associated with Richard Hart, which is like, he's very smart, at the end of the day, but like people associate that and they don't understand that there's like so many like really awesome people in the community, that are building, that are also intelligent, that are innovating and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm excited to be a part. I'm glad that you guys have gotten more of a stage this last week. Excited to see it. And I hope that, if Hex blows up and Pulsechain blows up, like you're already, bigger, but like you'll definitely blow up, because like you have so much Hex and Pulse content. So I don't know, next year at this time, maybe I'll be saying, well, I had Corey Costa on my channel.
We'll see how far I really want to take this, because I go back and forth sometimes and I'm like, do I really want to become, if I'm able to? Because I'll be honest with you, in the last 15 days, I've got up 700 subscribers because I've made videos. Like my first viral, I would call it viral, semi-viral at least. I made a video on how to get your MetaMask, your Pulsechain on MetaMask, how to do the RPC stuff. And it's the first in the 3 years I've had a channel ever hit 10K views. Now it's closing in on 20. I've never had that before.
Wow.
And like I'm making 10-minute videos that are getting 2-3K views. And I'm like, what? This has never happened before. And like all of the YouTubers that are focusing on Hex and Pulsechain right now, they're getting 2-3x views that they once get. Like what was once 300 views to 500 views is now 2,000.
Yeah.
It reminds me a lot of when I first got into this community in October of 2021. And I remember, and then I'll let you go. I was a dying channel, 500 subscribers. I got up to 650. I left the community I was in. Subscriber count went down to 540. And then I was like, yeah, I found Pulsechain, 2 months later. And I was like, screw it, I'm going to do a video. And I did a video and with somebody. And I got 300 subscribers in like 6 days.
Wow.
And I was like, what took me 3 years to do with one community took me 6 days in another.
Yeah.
So this is another reason, like Hex and Pulsechain literally saved my channel. And like, I see this in all the streams I go into. Like I owe a debt of gratitude for this platform on the basis of them, because there are some streamers that unfortunately start alienating Hex and they wonder why they become irrelevant. Well, it's because you don't alienate your base. There are ways to go about doing things where I can literally interview Phantom, Syscoin, Cardano, political entities that have nothing to do with cryptocurrency and still have my base because I respect them. And that's for any content creator. You don't respect your base, you're screwed. So that's
good. That's so good. Speaking of which, I'm thankful for everybody that's here because this is my base, because my channel is not a Hex channel. I will say that I cover a lot of topics, NFTs being my main focus. And my last 2 videos, one was on Bitcoin ordinals, which I am excited about. And then the one before that was on Pulsechain. Bitcoin Ordinals one got like a couple hundred views, if that, and then the Pulsechain one's at like 1.9K.
That's what, bro.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, dang. So you're not lying when like the community is like coming out to like support some people making
Bro,
content.
I'm telling you, man, you want to grow your subscriber count, like Hex and Pulsechain, man. Hex and Pulsechain, they are a ride or die community. They really, really are. And that's what I really think is going to let them sustain themselves in the future. They're not going to go away on the basis of a price decrease. They're not going to go away on the basis of ideological shifts in their philosophy. That's why I think that the Hex and Pulsechain community, like other communities, for example, there are 6 communities in cryptocurrency that I really have a lot of admiration for, and this is not in any order. Hex and Pulsechain, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, and XRP, and BSC. These are communities that I don't really see going anywhere because of their base. So that's why I find much excitement in Hex and Pulsechain. I find excitement in Cardano because they have community. They're not isolated. So
yeah, especially in this bear market, man. Like
yep.
You were here for the last bull. Like that's when the community grows. So to even have these existing communities in this type of market conditions is super bullish to me. And all those in the communities that you just mentioned that I'm familiar with, at least, to still have advocates that are out there making content, showing up to live streams like this, putting tweets out on Twitter, doing just being present. To have that in this type of market is awesome. So Corey, thank you so much for coming on, man. I really appreciate you. Anytime you want to come on the channel to chat, feel free. If you ever want to talk NFTs, maybe, feel free to invite me up. I'll talk some NFTs with you all day. I'll probably be purchasing some Pulse ones. I would rather buy with stables over Pulse right now, or Pulse X. But I am excited to see what kind of type of NFTs that Pulse has, and just the future and longevity of the chain. And I'm glad that you guys are getting that coin. I know that CoinGecko was a big win for the community.
Yeah, it's huge.
And everything like that. So thank you guys that showed up. OG Vault said great interviews. Appreciated OG Vault. Appreciate you a lot. Appreciate you, Big A, Daniel, Soul, Hex, all of you guys. So awesome. And of course, thank you again, Corey, for coming on. If you guys go follow, I'll leave them down below in the comments. But Corey's YouTube and his social, his YouTube, he posts all the time updates on Hex, Pulse, and Pulse.
Yeah, I have no friends, so
Thanks, guys.
so yeah, I'll be there.
Next.